My fiancé cheated on me with my father. I'm 27M. My fiancé is 26F. Let's call her L. My father is 52M, B. And my mother is 50F, R. Like many who've had something like this happen, I never thought it would happen to me. But here we are. I've never used Reddit before, but I've seen stories on TikTok, so I thought I'd give this a try for advice. I'll do my best to be clear, but it's only been a week, so if I lose track while writing, I'm sorry. Elle and I met during her freshman year of college. We lived in the same dorm building and eventually got to know each other. We later realized we lived only 2 towns apart, so I often gave her rides home. Over time, we started dating. Both of our families were supportive, and our relationship grew strong. I graduated a year before her, got a good job back home, and we maintained our relationship long distance until she graduated. Afterward, she moved in with me, and we both had stable jobs. We lived together for 3 years before I proposed, and we had been planning our wedding since then. Looking back, there were signs I ignored. My father called her often, and whenever I asked, they claimed it was about family events. Once, when Elle was in the shower, I noticed my dad calling her phone. I answered, and when he realized it was me, he seemed startled. He said he wanted to discuss my mom's upcoming birthday, then quickly ended the call. Even now, I feel foolish for brushing it off. The day I found out felt like any other. Elle had Thursdays off, so she made breakfast before I went to work. I realized I had forgotten some paperwork I needed for a meeting, so I decided to come home during lunch. I didn't tell her because it didn't seem necessary. When I got home, I noticed a car that looked like my father's, but didn't think much of it. As soon as I opened the door, I was hit with a sight straight out of a cliché movie. Clothes were scattered on the floor, leading to the bedroom, and faint sounds confirmed what I feared. I froze at the door, overwhelmed with rage, sadness, and disgust. After a moment, I took out my phone and began recording. I threw their clothes into the hallway, then filmed myself walking toward the bedroom. When I flipped on the light, I saw my father with my fiancée. They both panicked. My father tried to cover himself and reached toward me, but I warned him to back off. He didn't, so I hit him. I turned the camera toward Elle and asked how she could stay silent. Then I told them both that if they were still there when I returned, I'd send the video to everyone they knew. Before leaving, I told my father he was dead to me and that he should prepare to explain everything to my mother. At work, one of my bosses noticed something was wrong. When she saw blood on my shirt, I explained briefly and showed her the video. She was shocked but offered support and suggested I take time off. I told her I needed to push through the meeting. Somehow I managed to act normal, but inside I was broken. That night, I returned to an empty apartment, alone for the first time in years. I don't know what to do now. I know I need to move out because I can't stay here, and I'll never sleep in that bed again. I also know I need to get tested and check my hand because I'm pretty sure I injured it. Thank you for reading. Writing this out has been strangely therapeutic, even though I'm still completely lost. Update. Wow. Hello, everyone. I didn't expect to come back to Reddit and see this much support. I honestly didn't plan on updating. I just wanted to share what happened and hopefully get some advice. After posting, I closed my computer, and it all hit me like a train. I fell into a depression. To those who think it's fake, I wish I were that creative. I'd be writing books instead of working a 9-5. I'll try to respond more this time, but it was overwhelming before. Please know I read through most of your comments and truly appreciate the input, both good and bad. The day after I posted, I tried to reach my mother to ask her to meet for lunch so I could tell her everything. None of my calls connected. After a dozen attempts, I decided to drive to her house. She needed to know, even though it would be painful to say out loud. On the drive over, I thought about what I would say, and panic set in. I had to pull over twice to throw up. It's not every day you have to tell your mom her husband is being unfaithful with your fiancé. When I pulled into her driveway, I sat for a moment to gather myself. Suddenly, she came out the front door. I stepped out, but before I could speak, she started yelling at me, saying how dare I come after hitting my father, who she claimed was only breaking up a fight between Elle and me. She called me names, accused me of being abusive, and told me to leave since Elle isn't ready to forgive me, and hopefully never will. Apparently, my father took Elle to my family's home and told my mom that we argued, and when he stepped in, I hit him. She went on for a while until I finally snapped. "Really, Mom? Because your husband is sleeping with my fiancé. That's why I hit him. If you can't take my word for it, I'll send you the video. But since my own mother can talk to me like this, don't expect to ever see me again. I don't want to hear an apology later when you realize you're just as bad of a mom as he is a father." Her face dropped. She looked like I must have looked when I first walked in and caught them. I pulled out my phone and sent her the video. She opened it, watched up until the moment I turned on the light, then stopped and looked at me. I didn't say another word. I got in my car, backed out, and left. Before I pulled away, I saw her in tears. My heart hurt for her, but too much had been said for me to turn back and forgive her. When I got home, I started clearing the apartment of everything related to Elle or my family. I boxed up all of Elle's things and put them by the front door. Legally, this has been her residence, so I can't technically kick her out. But her name isn't on the lease, and knowing her, she avoids conflict. If she comes back for anything other than picking up her belongings, there will be conflict. Everything tied to my parents went into storage. Like I said in my first post, we were a close family, but I've never had trouble cutting toxic people out of my life. I texted Elle's parents to let them know I was calling off the engagement and that she had been cheating on me. I thanked them for everything they'd done. They were kind and supportive, which makes this even harder. I asked them to come pick up her belongings. I haven't gotten a reply yet, but I'm hoping they'll come soon so Elle has no reason to return. Update 2. Hey everyone. I'm sorry I haven't updated in a while. I wish I could say I'm doing great, but that would be a lie. Everything hits me in waves. I go from just being numb to boiling with rage. I haven't had a happy moment since I found out. Other than a few friends, I don't really have anyone IRL, especially since my family turned out to be terrible. Quite a few things happened since I posted last. It's been about a month. So this update will tell all that's been going on. After my last post, I decided to get the ball rolling on everything that needed to be done, like getting tested, finding a therapist, moving, and of course buying a new bed. I started by calling my doctor's office telling them I needed to get tested and to refer me to a therapist. I had my first appointment with a therapist 2 weeks ago, and we decided to continue once a week. I also got tested last week, but it'll be another week or so until I get the results, cross your fingers for me. I got in touch with a real estate agent friend of mine, and he sent me a ton of listings, and I decided on a refurbished cabin on the outskirts of my city. I finished moving 2 days ago. When I finished moving, I called Elle's parents. When they picked up, I told them I moved out, and Elle has still yet to pick up her things, and that the landlord will start showing the apartment in a few days. So someone better pick her things up before the landlord throws it out. That must have lit a fire under them because the next day my former landlord texted me thanking me for getting the apartment emptied out. No one knows where I live now other than the friend who set me up with this place. So I know Elle, or my parents won't be dropping by. The only thing that sucks about this place is I traded a 10-minute walk to work to a 45-minute drive. My phone has been blowing up with texts and calls from Elle, both my parents and some of my friends, but I have no interest in talking to anyone other than my therapist. At work, I've been a ghost. I go in, get my work done, and leave. On the rare occasion I have to talk to someone, I put on my fake smile and pretend everything is okay. My boss from my previous post has been trying to check in on me more. But I don't really tell her anything either. I just tell her I appreciate it, but I'll be okay. Truth is, I don't know if I'll be okay. I get that time heals and all, but I feel like that's only relevant when you're dealing with one issue, not when you lose who you thought were the 3 closest people in your life all at once. A huge part of me died, and there's no chance of bringing it back. The meetings with my therapist are going well. I suppose I've never done therapy before, so I have no reference on what good therapy is. We do get along all right, and she really seems genuine in wanting to help. The first session was us getting to know each other and delving into what brings me to her, nothing in depth but me just telling her what happened in my own words. The second session, we went a bit deeper. She asked me about the relationship I had with my parents. I told her up until now it was great. We talked often and always communicated well when something was wrong, and that I grew up in a great home, but that all means nothing now. She asked why I cut my mother out of my life. I told her she said things to me I wouldn't say to someone I despised, then told her there's no way she can come back from that. At the end of our last session, I gave her the link to my page on here, so she can read more about how I feel and what's going on in my head. I feel like it's easier to type things out than it is to speak it. So, if you're reading this, hi doc, for now I'm still miserable. I thought I'd be okay by now, not necessarily happy, but okay. I know some of it is my own fault, not communicating to my friends, but when I think about responding to them, it just seems so exhausting. I know they'll want to get together or come to my new place, but I just don't have the energy to be around them. Until I do, I'll work, go to my appointments, and sit on my back deck sipping on some bottom-shelf whiskey and try to enjoy this beautiful view. I haven't hunted since high school, so maybe I'll take that up again now that I can hunt from my back porch. Thank you all for reading this far. 8-month final update. Hey everyone, sorry I've been MIA for a while now. I'm writing this update to let you all know I'm alive, and to give you the lowdown of what's been happening as of recent. First, I want to apologize to those who've worried about me the past few months. After my last post, I was nowhere near okay, so I pulled back from everything. I secluded myself in order to heal and cope with what is now my life. I want you to know every comment and message didn't fall on deaf ears. I took all of your positive feedback and advice and worked through my problems. So, to the people who've supported me, though this truly thank you. I can't stress it enough. When I was at the lowest I've ever been, it was internet strangers that were there for me. So again, thank you all. In my last post, I was doing things like getting tested for STDs and trying to restart my life. I'm happy to inform you all I am clean and couldn't be more relieved. I am fully moved into my new place. When I told you all about my new place, I told you it was a refurbished cabin. Well, I might have been a little generous. It was refurbished almost 25-30 years ago, so it was a bit dated. Well, with all my newfound free time, I decided to actually refurbish it, and all that's left to do is paint the guest room I turned into an office. The only thing I didn't do myself was the electric and plumbing, because I have no clue how to do it and have zero interest in being shocked or putting my hand in a filth-covered pipe. Doing all the work has been incredibly stress-releasing and has helped me clear my head. I still see my therapist once a week. To all those who suggested it, you probably saved my life, so thank you being able to vent. Get my frustrations out and get the advice I need has been better than anything in my life past or present. I'm still working at the same company. I've become more open with some of my co-workers that I'm closer with and my boss from my previous posts due to the advice from my therapist. Also, due to her and some of your advice, I've reached out to my friends and have slowly been reintegrating into the group again. Now onto the update with what's been going on between my family and ex. I decided I was ready to have a talk with my mother, so a little over a month ago I unblocked her on my phone and reached out. I called and almost instantly she picked up the phone. I could tell through the tone of her voice she was panicking. Eventually, after reassuring it was me, I told her we should meet and talk. She agreed, and a day later, we met at diner near her house. She was there before I was, and when she seen me, she started quietly sobbing. When I sat, she apologized over and over again, telling me she could only take their word because she never thought them getting together would ever happen. I told her while I appreciate her apology, the things she said to me were despicable and something no mother should ever say to their child, and it showed me exactly what she thought of me. She cried harder and promised it's not true that when she was told I hit my father for no reason she was so angry, and when I showed up to the house, she just let her anger take over. Not wanting to go back and forth with her, I decided to move on. I said, speaking of that jerk, what have you decided to do with him? She told me they've been separated. She just kicked him out. Since the day after I sent her the video, and she immediately found a lawyer. Then we moved on to my ex. She said that when I pulled away, she went back into the house and threw them both out. She was too disgusted to look at them. We talked for about an hour in total, and before I left, I told her I was in a dark point of my life And because of the things she said to me, I didn't have my mother when I needed her, and because of that, I don't know if I could have her in my life. I then told her I'm willing to work on my relationship with her, but it will be at my pace. She stopped me before I could leave and told me she has to tell me something important. I sat back down, and she said Elle is pregnant. Elle apparently showed up to the house and told my mom. She said she didn't know if it's mine or my father's. Elle asked if I had been in touch so she can let me know. Obviously she hasn't, so my mom just sent her on her way. Well, that's about it for the update. I have a lot on my mind, not sure what to do or feel. Thank you for reading. Sorry for rambling on and on. Bonus story 1.
My ex tried to cheat. It didn't work out for him, though. After some time, my ex would sleep with his phone in his pocket. Weird red flag, but I never said anything. When I noticed he would not even pull up his phone in front of me, I knew something was up. One night it slipped out of his sweats, and I woke up with it near my legs. I was just going to put it on the charger, honestly. But I saw he had a bunch of notifications and messages from a dating app. Man, I wanted to slap him awake. But I didn't. So I created a profile using a friend of mine's pictures that he never met, and I had her approval. She was his type 100%, and I knew he loved blue eyes. So when we matched like I knew we would, we got to chatting. We talked for about a week before I suggested meeting up, flirting, intimate stuff. He told her, me, that he was single and lived with a friend. So I suggested him paying for a hotel room so we could be intimate. He said he would. We picked a spot. Mind you, I paid for everything because he was unemployed after losing his job. He drained my savings account over the year with manipulation. We're family. We take care of each other when we in tough spots. He would say whenever I told him I didn't have extra money. I paid my student loans, all bills of a one-bedroom, and the food. This boy had the audacity to ask me for money in person. That his mom's birthday was coming up and he wanted to buy her something nice. So I gave him $50. Just because it was hilarious at this point. I still think about the smile on his face in that moment. That weekend he left, said he was going to his mom's and that he'd probably stay the night. I kissed him goodbye and told him to have a great time. Then I packed all of his stuff and left it outside. I live in a US city, so it went fast. Got the locks changed. He messaged me a few times on the app. I told him I was running late because I wanted to look perfect, but I was coming and so sorry. My friend also sent me some flirty pictures to send him that didn't fully include her face. She's a real one. I even talked him into pleasuring himself and sending me a video. Then after making him wait until about 1 a.m., I messaged him on the dating app a picture of his belongings being rummaged through by a homeless man, and to enjoy his stay in a hotel. As soon as my phone rang, I blocked his number and went to bed. He was outside of my door the Monday I came home from work. Ugly crying, begging, telling me he was homeless and had nowhere to go. When I wasn't having it, he got angry per usual. Once he started grabbing and trying to get into my apartment, I called the police. Filed a restraining order because he did threaten my life, and my pets, for putting him out. Found out he ended up moving a few hours away where his only family is, and has a job.
I cheated and I regret it. It's been 35 years and I still regret leaving. I don't even know why I am posting this, but I have to get this off my chest. 60 Mitt, got married young at 18. I married my high school sweetheart. She was smart, funny, kind, and the kind of person who could capture a room. Very extroverted. I'm incredibly introverted, but we were a good match. By the time we were 25, we had 2 small children and I was happy with how my life was. Then my wife got a new job and she was excelling, getting promotions, working later. I think you see where this is going. You are wrong, by the way. I cheated on her. Whilst she was out working late to make money to support our children, I was building up a resentment towards her. She wasn't home to make dinner, and I never bothered to learn to cook. Washing would pile up for a few days because I didn't do it, and I was doing the school run because she was at work. But I never voiced how I felt, and every day my beautiful wife would come home. I would put a front on and pretend everything was fine when it wasn't tea. I know if I had told her how I felt, she would have listened, but I didn't have tea. I met a woman at a work thing, and we spoke over the phone constantly for a few weeks. Things turned intimate quickly, and I didn't stop it. I wrote my wife a birthday card telling her how much I loved her, and she was an amazing person, then 2 weeks later walked out on her. And the worst part was she never screamed at me or yelled. She just stood there and watched me take my things whilst my children were in the other room completely oblivious to what was going on. She just stood there silently crying. I broke the best person in my life. She ended up losing her job because she couldn't have managed the school run or extra child arrangements. So my alimony payments had to go up, and I resented her for that. Looking back on it now, how selfish could I be? The woman who I betrayed and was now single-handedly raising my children needed more money to care for them. I saw them every other Saturday, but that was it. My affair partner and I fizzled almost immediately. She didn't want something with me, and she really didn't want something with me when I was almost broke from paying alimony. My wife was and still is the strongest person I know. She never let me know how much I hurt her, but I heard her crying herself to sleep every night I had to stay over for something with the kids. I spent years resenting my wife for stealing my money, when in reality I knew it was my fault, and I still loved her, but was too proud to say, and even though I left. It was her who eventually filed for divorce because every time she asked me if I had gotten a lawyer, I would say, "I am not ready." Eventually she filed because she said it was too painful. I said some really awful things to her when I was angry, like, "I did not love you for a long time. I stayed for the children," and every time she just nothing back. I'll never forgive myself for that. She wanted to try make it work. She fought for me every day for months, and I wasn't interested. She loved me even when I hated her. Then she met Mark. He was older, wiser, and he loved her the way I should have loved her. He was and is a good man to her and my children. Watching someone else love the person you were supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. I blurted out, "I love you," to her 2 weeks before her wedding, and she looked at me and said, "Then you should have fought for me, because I would have loved you forever if you had let me." On the day of her wedding, I sat outside the church in my car, telling myself I would object to the wedding, but I didn't. That was 30 years ago, and seeing that written in front of me now is just as painful as it was hearing it all those years ago. Having to watch her with him all these years has been my punishment, and I've had the odd relationship, but nothing serious. I will never forgive myself for what I did. It should have been our 42nd wedding anniversary today. I don't think anyone survives infidelity entirely. I think you learn to live with it.
Bonus story 2.